Judas Iscariot and the betrayal of Jesus. Perhaps the most famous betrayal ever recorded is the story of Judas Iscariot. Judas was one of Jesus Christ's 12 apostles, part of his inner circle. According to the Christian Gospels, Judas secretly negotiated with the authorities who opposed Jesus, agreeing to reveal his location in exchange for 30 pieces of silver. The act itself was deeply symbolic. Judas signaled the arresting soldiers by greeting Jesus with a kiss, a gesture of friendship that turned into the ultimate sign of treachery. That kiss led to Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion. For 2,000 years, Judas' name has been synonymous with a friend who betrays for personal gain, and it has shaped how betrayal is seen in Western culture. Brutus and the murder of Julius Caesar. If Judas defined betrayal in religion, Marcus Junius Brutus defined it in politics. Julius Caesar, the military genius who transformed the Roman Republic into an empire, had many enemies in the Senate, but no one expected his close friend and protege to join the conspiracy to kill him. On the Ides of March in 44 BCE, Caesar was surrounded by senators and stabbed repeatedly. Ancient historians say his last words, spoken as he saw Brutus among the attackers, were "Et tu, Brute? You too, Brutus?" That phrase has echoed for centuries as the most famous expression of the pain of betrayal by a trusted friend. Ironically, Caesar's assassination did not save the Republic. It triggered years of civil war and cleared the path for the Roman Empire. Mir Jafar and the fall of Bengal. Jumping forward to the 18th century, one of the most consequential betrayals in Asian history came during the Battle of Plassey in 1757. The young Nawab of Bengal, Suraj-ud-Dawla, faced the British East India Company's forces led by Robert Clive. On paper, the Nawab's army was much larger and better positioned, but one of his own generals, Mir Jafar, had already cut a secret deal with the British. On the day of the battle, he and his troops stood aside and refused to fight. The betrayal turned what should have been an easy victory for Bengal into a decisive defeat. It opened the door for the British to dominate India for nearly 2 centuries. To this day in South Asia, calling someone a Mir Jafar means calling them a traitor. Ephialtes and the Greeks stand at Thermopylae. Even in the ancient world, geography often decided battles, unless betrayal changed the odds. In 480 BCE, King Leonidas of Sparta and a few thousand Greek allies held off a massive Persian army at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. The geography of the pass neutralized the Persians' overwhelming numbers. That defense might have held much longer if not for a local man named Ephialtes. He revealed to the Persians a secret mountain path that allowed them to outflank the Greek forces. The betrayal led to the famous last stand of the 300 Spartans and their allies. Although the Greeks later won the war, Ephialtes' name was forever cursed as the man who doomed one of history's most heroic defenses. Benedict Arnold and the American Revolution. In the late 18th century, Benedict Arnold was one of the most daring and successful generals in the American Continental Army during the Revolutionary War. But he felt undervalued by his superiors and struggled with debt. These frustrations pushed him to negotiate with the British secretly. Arnold agreed to surrender the key fort of West Point in exchange for money and a high rank in the British Army. The plot was discovered just in time, and Arnold fled to British line. He spent the rest of his life in exile, reviled by the country he had once served. In the United States, Benedict Arnold is still a byword for treachery. The betrayal that undid the gunpowder plot. Sometimes, a betrayal prevents another betrayal. In 1605, a group of English Catholic conspirators, angry at their persecution under King James I, plotted to blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament. The idea was to kill the king and much of the Protestant leadership in one explosion. Guy Fawkes was the man chosen to ignite the gunpowder hidden beneath the chamber. But before the attack could happen, one conspirator sent an anonymous letter warning a friend to stay away from Parliament that day. The warning reached the authorities, the cellars were searched, and Fawkes was caught standing guard over the explosives. The gunpowder plot failed because of a single leak, and Britain still remembers the event every November 5th, the night of Bonfire Night. Vidkun Quisling and the Nazi occupation of Norway. Not all betrayals come in moments of crisis. Some happen on a national scale. In 1940, when Nazi Germany invaded Norway, a far-right politician named Vidkun Quisling staged a coup and aligned himself with the occupier. He later led a puppet government under German control. His name became so infamous that Quisling entered the English language as a common noun meaning a traitor who collaborates with an occupying enemy. Quisling's betrayal illustrates how political ambition can drive someone to turn against their own country. Wang Jingwei and the Japanese occupation of China. A similar betrayal took place during China's fight against Japanese invasion in the 1930s and 1940s. Wang Jingwei had been a leading figure in the Chinese nationalist movement, but as the war dragged on, he broke with his former allies and chose to collaborate with the Japanese occupier. He became the head of a puppet regime based in Nanjing. Many Chinese saw his actions as unforgivable, a betrayal not just of leaders but of the entire nation. Even decades later, his name is remembered in China as a symbol of treason. Aldrich Ames and Cold War espionage. Betrayal can also happen in the shadows, with consequences that cost many lives. Aldrich Ames joined the CIA in the 1960s and spent years as a trusted officer. But in the mid-1980s, he began secretly selling U.S. intelligence secrets to the Soviet Union. Among the information he handed over were the names of dozens of Soviet officials who were secretly spying for the United States. Many of those people were arrested and executed. The scale of the damage shocked American intelligence agencies. Ames was finally arrested in 1994 and is serving a life sentence, remembered as one of the most damaging traitors in modern espionage history. Why these betrayals still resonate. All of these betrayals, from Judas in biblical times to Ames in the Cold War, have something in common. They were not merely political or military moves. Each involved a break in trust, often between people who once stood side by side. That is why they loom so large in history. Nations can forgive a defeated enemy more easily than a trusted friend who turns against them. Betrayals often happen at moments of crisis, during wars, invasions, or political upheavals, when the stakes are highest. They can change the course of events overnight. A battle lost, an empire toppled, a cause undone. And because the stories of betrayal are so personal, they are remembered for centuries, retold in plays, novels, and history books as lessons in human weakness and ambition. The legacy of betrayal. Looking back across these stories, one theme stands out: betrayal rarely achieves what the betrayer hoped. Judah's name became a curse. Brutus' assassination of Caesar brought not freedom for Rome but civil war. Mir Jafar's reward from the British was short-lived. Benedict Arnold died in exile, never trusted even by his new allies. The short-term gain from betrayal often comes at the price of lasting infamy. These stories remind us that loyalty and trust are fragile, yet they are also the glue that holds communities, armies, and nations together. When they are broken, the consequences can echo across generations. The defection of General Benedict Arnold, 1780, one of the most infamous betrayals in American history, occurred during the Revolutionary War. Benedict Arnold was once a celebrated general for the Continental Army, known for his bravery at battles like Saratoga. However, feeling overlooked for promotions and frustrated by what he saw as a lack of recognition and respect, Arnold secretly switched sides. He conspired with the British to surrender the key American fort at West Point in exchange for money and a high position in the British Army. His plot was exposed before it could succeed, but the damage to his reputation was permanent. Arnold's name has since become synonymous with treason in the United States.